Arkansas. In this historic spa city of hot springs, known for the miracle healing powers of its natural spring baths, and made even more famous now as the hometown of the current President of the United States. They have been racing thoroughbreds here at Oaklawn since 1904. And this week is the track showpiece, the 21st Racing Festival of the South. 8 stakes worth more than $2.3 million. The festival and the season comes to an end when they present this trophy for today's 58th running of the Arkansas Derby, and then paint the colors of the winner on the jockey at the entrance of Oaklawn, here in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America.
The Racing Festival action continues. You hear in the background the 8th race coming down the track. Our feature, the Arkansas Derby, is the 9th, one of a triple header of races for you. Let's take a look at our schedule today. We'll start at Keeneland, Lexington, Kentucky, their premier 3-year-old filly race, the Grade 1 Ashland. Then we'll bring you wire-to-wire coverage of one of the great racing festival events, the Apple Blossom. For fillies and mares, Grade 1, $500,000, and of course our feature, the Arkansas Derby. Now, the Derby here in Arkansas has had quite an impact on the Triple Crown Series. Over the last 18 runnings, 8 have gone on to win Triple Crown races, including 2 from here, winning the Roses at the Kentucky Derby, Sonny's Halo, and Lil E.T. Let's take a look at our Arkansas Derby conditions today. It is a Grade 2 event. The purse, $500,000. That's $300,000 to the winner. It's all 3-year-olds going 1 1/8 miles. The weather, well, it feels more like summer than spring. Temperatures near the 80-degree mark here. Bright sunshine, light breeze, and a fast racetrack. Well, joining me here at Oaklawn, a couple of folks that are no strangers to this beautiful racetrack setting. Let's join them now here in the infield. Dave Johnson and Chelsea Canty.
If you think Louisville is crazy during Derby week, Hot Springs is better. Everybody here follows the ponies.
Well, it's like Derby week through the entire meet. Racing dominates this town, and everybody connected with the track is a hero, and it's been that way as long as I've been coming here.
Shall we tell them how long?
You go first.
Well, in 1959, there used to be a golf course here in the infield. And we used to drive down from the University of Missouri, play golf in the morning, then go to the races in the afternoon. It was heaven. How about you?
Well, let's just say that when I first started coming here, there was no Racing Festival of the South. And our original barn is now a parking lot, but it's chock full this afternoon.
And why not? It's their premier event of the season, their Derby with the state name on it. And it's important not just for those in Arkansas. Let's take a look at the field so you can start to make your pick. We start with the late-running Maryland-bred Concern, who's a high price, and Garrett Gomez rides. Fly Cry, number 2, won 3 listed stakes at the fairgrounds this winter, is at 5-1. Bayou Bartholomew races with blinkers on for the first time. Second choice in the morning line, Ride the Rails with Craig Perret at 5-2. Silver Goblin, the horse with the most wins, at 4. The Louisiana-bred Finder's Wish. And then the richest horse in the field, the favorite, number 7, Bloomin' Affair, starts at 2-1 with Delahousie. Number 8 is Judge T.C. Number 9, My Magical Star, one of only 2 horses in this field coming off a win.
The other one is Judge T.C., and he is the only graded stakes winner in the field, having won the Rebel Stakes here at Oaklawn Park in his last start. The other 7 must continue to improve off their losing races. However, our 2 morning line favorites, Ride the Rails and Blooming Affair, are short priced because their losing races came in some pretty fancy company, horses who figure prominently in the Kentucky Derby. Take Bloomin' Affair. He closed ground after a slow start to finish second to Bronco in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last fall at Santa Anita, and that's Tabasco Cat finishing 3rd. He was then 4th in the Hollywood Futurity. Both of those are Grade 1 stakes.
And no horse here has raced more than Ride the Rails, who was 4th in 12 starts, but his losing efforts, like this one in the Fountain of Youth, where he was 3rd to DeHare and Go for Gin, and then in his next race where he was 2nd to Holy Bull, well, that's the kind of performances that stamp this horse as classic. Now, the favorites have done, well, a little above average here in the Derby since it's part of the festival. 8 wins in 20 starts, but this race has had its upsets.
Yeah, like last year when Rockamundo stunned the world, upsetting at 108-1 with Calvin Burrell aboard.
Fox Trail leads it. Here's Proudest Romeo and Tiazo. Rockamundo hanging in there. Fox Trail leads it. Rockamundo trying to bring a shocking upset, takes command, and it is Rockamundo on his way to the biggest upset in Arkansas Derby history.
And after that performance, Rockamundo's plans were rerouted to Louisville, and the Derby, that's a race only 2 weeks away now.
And so today's result could cause a few people here to book passage to Louisville. Chris?
You know, I feel like possibly a youngster with this group. This is just my 10th visit here to Oaklawn. When we come back, our thoroughbred triple header gets underway. We'll be going to Keeneland for the Ashland Stakes race course, and that's where we'll start our thoroughbred triple header on ESPN this afternoon with the running of the Grade 1 Ashland Stakes. It's for 3-year-old fillies, 1 mile and an 1/8. One of the outstanding fillies races in this country. I mean, check 1 mile and a 16th, the correct distance for the fillies. Well, Chelsea Kent is going to have a look at the field for you, a little perspective on this Ashland Stakes at Keeneland. Chelsea?
Well, it is the premier 3-year-old filly race at Keeneland and had some premier winners, too. Go for Juan, Princess Rooney, Optimistic Gal, and could be a budding star in this field today, too. A small but very select field of 6, but a lot of quality. Let's look at them. Breaking from the rail is the Irish-bred Laurel Invader, Lady Ryko. Her temper is undefeated in 2 starts at Keeneland. Private Status was an impressive winner of the Beaumont last out. The heavy, heavy favorite. From the Phipps stable, Inside Information, she's won 4 out of 5 lifetime. Bunting is a long shot, and Cinnamon Sugar is a daughter of 1980 Ashland winner Sugar and Spice. Now we have Mike Battaglia with the call of the Ashland.
And they're off. Cinnamon Sugar breaks sharply on the outside. The inside, Her Temper. Up between horses, Inside Information. Private Status, well bunched as they move for the first turn. It's Inside Information, Private Status, Her Temper. Cinnamon Sugar up on the outside, 4th. Then Bunting runs 5th. Lady Ryko is the trailer. As they move for the first turn, the leader. On the inside, Private Status gets the lead. Has it a half length. Inside Information, 2nd. It's a length to Her Temper, 3rd. Cinnamon Sugar is 4th ahead. Bunting runs 5th. 2 back to the trailer, Lady Ryko. Moving on to the back stretch, Private Status with the head in front. Inside Information, 2nd. It's a length to Bunting, 3rd. Her Temper is 4th. Lady Ryko gains ground up on the outside. Then Cinnamon Sugar. As they move for the turn, Private Status, Inside Information, they're together. Lady Ryko moves to the outside. Now it's Inside Information, the leader, a half. Lady Ryko into 2nd. Private Status runs 3rd. Cinnamon Sugar up on the outside, 4th. Then Her Temper and Bunting. Midway through the turn, and Inside Information has the lead. Now by a length and a half. Private Status retakes 2nd. On the outside, that's Cinnamon Sugar 3rd. Then Her Temper 4th. As they move for the stretch, Inside Information in front. Now Thrall's off. She leads it by 3. Private Status 2nd. From the outside, Bunting 3rd. They're nearing the wire. It's Inside Information drawing away. Inside Information will win the Ashland in hand by 5 lengths.
Very impressive. Inside Information, the 3-year-old filly owned by Denny Phipps, bred by him in Kentucky, trained by Shug McGee, ridden by Mike Smith. There you see the payoffs on the favorite, 146-4 for that 1 mile and a 16th of the Ashland. This impressive 3-year-old wins her 4 straight. She's by private account and out of pure profit. Again, Inside Information, a 3-year-old filly to watch for. We hope we'll see her at the Kentucky Oaks. And there's the Hall of Fame trainer, Jack Van Berg. He'll be saddling Bloomin' Affair today. Well, he may need some help, Jack, just with a recent surgery. He's feeling okay, though. Let's hope his horse is. And hope you're ready for a great day of racing here on ESPN.
Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, is brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental.
1,000 becomes the 4th largest city in this state of Arkansas, and they are dressed in their Derby finery here today, both the ladies and the gentlemen there, the Fly Cry Camp, some of their connections there, as the Derby horses. They're awaiting their arrival now here in the infield. Talking about these Derby horses, one we want to start with, the promising 3-year-old Ride the Rails. He was a real contender in South Florida in some of the big races earlier, but he comes here to Arkansas looking to prove himself before perhaps going on in 2 weeks to the big show, the Kentucky Derby.
Ride the Rails raced into the national 3-year-old picture at Gulfstream Park in February when he beat the returning juvenile champion DeHare to the wire in this allowance race. It surprised many, but not his veteran trainer, Jimmy Bracken.
He's got no give up about him. He's a very aggressive horse, and he'll try, and he'll run. I think he'll run 1.5 miles. I don't think distance is going to hurt him at all, and he's got some gas if you want him to use it. And he's pretty versatile. He'll come from behind, or he can stay pretty close to pace. I don't think he could keep up with Holy Bull early on, and I wouldn't want him to, but I don't think he'd ever give up. He'd die before he'd give up.
Ride the Rails has not raced since March 12th, when he was a distant second in the Florida Derby to the nation's top-ranked 3-year-old Holy Bull. Bracken had this time off in his plans.
Well, pretty much so. I didn't nominate my horse for the Flamingo, which I could have run in. And I kind of would like to have had a race between the time he ran last and now, but he's trained well. He's done well up here. He's fit. He's ready to run.
More than 40 years as a trainer has made Jimmy Bracken a realist when it comes to Ride the Rail's future plans.
He could go to Kentucky or back to Florida, and I'm not chasing rainbows. If I don't think he runs good enough here to go to warrant him being in Kentucky, he won't be there.
Well, Jack Van Berg, on the other hand, is aggressively seeking Louisville with Bloomin' Affair, and the colt makes his third start in as many states in 34 days. So we had to ask Jack if he was feeling a little behind schedule.
No, Chelsea. I missed a week in California when the race didn't go. But this horse, his race in the Remington Derby, he was much fitter than I thought he was. I followed the same trail as I did with Ali Sheba this winter when we rode him all winter. And he was, I thought he might get a little tired in Remington Derby, but he was much fitter. He came out of that race, I think, stronger than he went in. He finished like a horse needs to finish. He finished full of run, and like I told the owners, I said, Art and Leroy, I said, I'd like to won the race, but I'm just as happy with his race. I'm more happy than anything because he finished like he did, and I think it did him so good. I would have been sick if he'd have used a lot of speed out of there and then stopped the last part of it, you know. But his race did him some good there. I haven't had a horse work like this horse since Ali Sheba. I've not had a young horse work the way this horse does. He'll do anything you ask him. Before the Breeders' Cup out there in California, after he won that day, and I talked to Art and Leroy about going to the Breeders' Cup and running him in that juvenile race, I worked him one morning, and they caught him in 10 and 3. I caught him in 9 and change that day at Hollywood Park. He just worked awesome, and when we would work him 7/8 a mile, he'd go the last 3/8 a mile in 34 and change. You know, and that's when racehorses do that, they're runners, and that's what impressed me about him. He's developed this winter. He's got a lot stronger, but this horse, I have a lot of confidence in him. Ali Sheba, he never did lie to us, and if this colt runs like I think he will tomorrow, then I'll know he's for real.
Well, Jack could use a little better news. He's had a tough week. He was really troubled over a statement attributed to him saying that he was coming to Oaklawn to kick some, well, you know what. He's also on the vet's list following carpal tunnel surgery, and he can't even type. I think a good race today would make this Hall of Famer a lot happier, Dave.
Today, Charlie, our two favorites today, Bloomin' Affair and Ride the Rails, would do well to emulate the Arkansas Derby of 1992. That year, the first and second finishers here at Oaklawn went on to win Triple Crown races. Loblolly Stables' Pine Bluff was favored in the Arkansas Derby with Jerry Bailey aboard, while Pat Day held the reins on Cal Partie's Lily T, fresh off a victory in the Jim Beam. Here's Terry Wallace's call.
And Pine Bluff, like a rocket, shoots to the lead to the outside. Lil E.T. trying to fight back inside of him second. Desert Force starting back in third. But it is Pine Bluff the leader. Pat Day gets into Lil E.T. These two look one another in the eye. A classic confrontation for the final eighth of a mile with Pine Bluff. He must be gone, trying to emulate him, and he will. It's Pine Bluff winning the Arkansas Derby by a neck.
Lil E.T. got his revenge at Churchill Downs with a victory in the Kentucky Derby. But this winner's circle scene would be repeated in Baltimore as Pine Bluff came back to capture the Preakness.
And there in the gray sports coat, just taking the sunglasses off, there is John Ed Anthony, one of the famous horsemen here in Arkansas. This spring, things have been in perspective. His wife, Isabel, has been quite ill. The good news is, though, she seems to be well on the road to recovery. We wish her and the entire Anthony family the very best. Wrap up the Arkansas Derby and all the major races for you on our Racehorse Digest. Tuesday, 3:30 Eastern Time. Of course, not just thoroughbred. Remember, all the big harness and quarter horse racing action as well. Well, joining me now, the man who promises the sun will always shine at Oaklawn. He's outdone himself today. Charles J. Sella, owner, president of the Oaklawn Jockey Club. What a magnificent Derby day.
Chris, it's an exhilarating day. If you like good corned beef, the best racing in the world, under azure skies, you ought to be here.
You've always said it really is the thoroughbred that is #1 here.
Well, our history is the thoroughbred, our future is the thoroughbred, and we make a lot of changes around here. I'm just happy to be in the crowd and the people that make the changes.
And this track is making changes as this game changes.
This is going to be interesting to see what happens the next couple of years in thoroughbred racing, but I'll tell you one thing, Oakland will be here.
Yeah, I know you're very proud of this racing festival. This was the originator.
This is Gangbusters. We opened up at the Handicap, and then we had the Fantasy and the Prima Donna and the Sprint, the Complete. Yesterday, the Apple Blossom. Today, the Arkansas Derby, 58th running.
Well, Mr. Sella mentioned the Apple Blossom. That's their premier filly and mare race, a Grade 1 event worth $500,000. Charles Kennedy, let's take a closer look at that race from Friday.
Well, the Apple Blossom always attracts the very best fillies and mares in the country, and yesterday was no exception. They all arrived for the mile and a 16th for a purse of $500,000. Listen to some of the credentials of the 10 fillies and mares that went postward. John Franks had an entry. Morning Meadow and Teddy's Top 10. They've earned over $500,000. Louis Capote was second last year to Paseana. The Rampart winner, 9 Keys, was here. The Frisette winner, Educated Risk. Fantasy winner, Aztec Hill. The Ashland winner, Lunar Spook. La Cienega winner, Mamselle Babette. Vanity winner, Ritos. And the Pippin winner, Gray Cashmere. They don't get any classier than that. And for the call of this race, here's Dave Johnson.
And they're off. Toward the inside, Louis Capote. Mamselle Babette now charges up between horses, and Mamselle Babette clears the field and draws off by 2. Louis Capote on the inside is second. Educated Risk in the red cap right there third. Then it's Lunar Spook, the big gray filly on the outside, fourth. Along the inside, that's Morning Meadow saving ground in 5th position. A gap of 2.5 lengths. Gray Cashmere on the outside in the checkered colors is next. 9 Keys at the rail. A gap of 2, Aztec Hill. Then comes Teddy's Top 10 and Retoss at the back of the pack, 13 lengths from the leader. Mamselle Babette with Eddie Delahousie showing the way down the back stretch, enjoying a 2.5 length advantage. Educated Risk on the outside. Louis Capote hugs the rail, racing in the 3rd spot by a length and a half. Morning Meadow is 4th. 9 Keys 5th. Lunar Spook between horses, and on the outside, 5 off the rail, it's Gray Cashmere. Retoss moves a bit up with the orange colors along the inside, followed by Teddy's Top 10, and Aztec Hill is the distant trailer as they move midway on the turn. And it's still Mamselle Babette who's led every step of the way. On the outside, 9 Keys advancing steadily. On the inside, that's Educated Risk. There's a 1/4 mile to go. And now tightening up on the front end. Mamselle Babette leads by a head as 9 Keys charges up on the outside and grabs the lead. And down the stretch they come. It's 9 Keys in front. On the inside, Mamselle Babette second. From the far back of the pack, Retoss is charging, but not fast enough. Here's 9 Keys winning the Apple Blossom Handicap by a length. Mamselle Babette finished second, followed by Retoss third. Final time, 1 minute 42.
We told you it was a great race. 9 Keys winning it at 1:42 for Lazy F Farm. Angel Penna Jr., the trainer, and the rider, Mike Smith, who you saw earlier today when the Grade 1 Ashland Stakes. What a weekend this America's leading rider, the Eclipse champion, is having. 9 Keys, the winner. Mamselle Babette, owned by our friend John Forsythe, for the game second. Retoss third. That's the Apple Blossom. Back with more about coverage of the Arkansas Derby next. An update now on the current odds at Oaklawn for the Arkansas Derby, presented by...
got fluid in his lungs and everything. We, was really concerned about him every day. We was treating him for 2 weeks, and everything, just like you said, Cinderella turned out our way. And we just gave him up and turned him out for 45 days and brought him down here and just worked real slow with him, and everything's went so far well planned. And today's it's just glad to be here today. No matter what happens, it's glad to be here.
You're very modest because you trained him up to win the Rebel Stakes off works alone, and it was also his first start around 2 turns. So it was a great accomplishment, and it puts him in a good spot for this afternoon. We wish you all the best of luck, Gary.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Back to Chris.
Thank you, Charles. Let's start with our post parade now for the 1994 Arkansas Derby and the one-horse Concern. The colors of Robert Meyerhoff from Maryland on the board in all 4 local starts. Second in the Rebel. Does pick up 6 pounds today and has the riding choice Garrett Gomez, 22-year-old jock, second in the Oaklawn standings to the champion Pat Day. The 2 is Fly Cry, 4th in the Louisiana Derby after winning 3 straight at the fairgrounds, trained by young Tom Amos, and the rider, another Cajun, Ronald Arndt won many riding titles at the fairgrounds and Louisiana Downs. The 3 from the Loblolly stables of John and Anthony. Bayou Bartholomew by Demons Be Gone, who won the 87 Arkansas Derby, and a half-brother to their star last year, Perry Bayou, was 6th in the Rebel. Blinkers on for the first time, the rider Fabio Arguello. The 4-horse, the first of our Keeneland sale horses, Ride the Rails, a $90,000 Keeneland purchase, son of Crypto Clearance, second in his last start to Holy Bull in the Florida Derby. It's had 2 bullet works, though, on this track. The rider, 1990 Eclipse Award winner, Craig Perrette, the year he won the Derby on Unbridled. The 5-horse, the Pride of Oklahoma. The Oklahoma-bred Silver Goblin had a 6-race win streak snap when he had bleeding in his lungs. The Remington Park Derby and ran 3rd. First time on Lasix today. First race outside Oklahoma. His regular Oklahoma rider, though, Dale Cardova, is on him today. The 6-horse from John Frank's powerful stable, Finder's Wish, won the old Rosebud here for his 5th straight win, then was 5th in the Louisiana Derby. The rider from the West Coast, Pat Valenzuela, he won the Arkansas Derby back in 1984 here on the Great Filly Althea. The 7-horse, another Keeneland purchase. This is Bloomin' Affair from Jack Van Berg's stable. Richest money earner in the field, second in the Remington Park Derby, second last fall in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. A $20,000 Keeneland purchase. The rider, one of the best, Eddie Delahousse, Hall of Famer, 2-time winner of this race. The 8-horse, here's Red Dog's Judge T.C. Won his only start this year when he pulled the upset here in the Rebel Stakes. Former claimer has won almost $180,000, a Keeneland bargain at $5,500. Joe Johnson, regular stable rider for Gary Harthage, has the assignment. Rounding out the field, the 9-horse and a big shot here, My Magical Star. Unraced at 2, just broke his maiden in his last start. Big jump up here to Top Stakes Company, $90,000 Keeneland purchase, and the rider is C.J. Woodley. He's a regular rider here at Oaklawn Park. Well, Dave Johnson has an update for us now on a couple of these 3-year-olds that were really the stars in their own areas this spring, but then have fallen on some hard times of late, looking to reclaim some of that magic here today in Arkansas. And just keep a close eye on one of these. They just might be our Bud Long shot.
After dominating the 3-year-old events at the fairgrounds, Fly Cry was 4th as the favorite in the Louisiana Derby. Meanwhile, Silver Goblin was humbling his foes in Oklahoma, but finished 3rd at 2-5 in the Remington Park Derby just 2 weeks ago. Silver Goblin's trainer, Kenny Smith, thinks his horse deserves another chance.
The colt ran a real good race. I thought he bled a little bit, and we'll see what happens this time. I thought we'd give the colt another chance at the big boys, and if he doesn't do well, then we'll go to a little smaller deal where maybe the Ohio Derby, something of that sort.
And other than the addition of Lasix for this race, Smith has made no changes in routine.
I haven't really done a whole lot different with him. The colt won 5 stakes in a row. I believe we've been right on track. We had a little bad luck the other day, and I look for the colt to run big.
As for Fly Cry, trainer Tom Amos believes he'll be running a sharper horse this time.
Well, I've been pretty aggressive with Fly Cry. He's a big horse. He demands a lot on the track, and I really gave it to him between his previous race, the Risen Star, where he beat Smilin' Singin' Sam in the Louisiana Derby. And I thought some of the things he showed me in the race suggested that he was a flat horse. He normally breaks very aggressive, and he was very lackadaisical out of the gate. And although he made up ground, he just didn't have that punch at the end. That was 2 weeks between races. He's had a good rest. He's worked very well. He's had a great work over the surface. And I, once again, have a lot of confidence in him on this Saturday.
of those two possibilities, we've chosen for today's Budweiser long shot number 2, Fly Cry, who showed us what a good colt he is with 3 straight victories, one in January, one in February, and one in March. It may have taken a bit out of him. He was 4th in the Louisiana Derby, just beaten a length and 3/4 by Candale. But he's had 5 weeks rest. He's conditioned by one of the very top young trainers in America, Tom Amos. Fly Cry, as you see, is a grand-looking 3-year-old who won't surprise us as the Arkansas Derby winner and as today's Budweiser long shot.
8th Arkansas Derby, being presented this afternoon by Hollywood Park, where great times are a sure bet. A lot of people think one of the sure bets here is Ride the Rails, the talented colt from Florida. Craig Perrette rides. Craig, though, when he rode him in the Florida Derby, was the 6th different rider in 6 trips on this colt. But he's back today. We asked Craig Perrette what he learned about Ride the Rails in that Florida Derby.
Well, Chris, he's run with the best horses in the country, and he's been very competitive with them. So, as class-wise, he seems to fit real well in this race. It was the first time I'd ridden him, but he's had a number of different riders. He's not a very difficult horse to figure out and to ride. He gives you his best, and he's very competitive.
Time is almost running out for everybody to make their Derby choices, Craig.
Yeah, I think after tomorrow, everybody's going to have to start committing to what they're going to do, and the Lexington is the last stepping stone to the Derby, and I guess tomorrow we'll all have to kind of make our decisions on what we're doing.
There's Craig Perrette wearing John Merrill's colors on Ride the Rails, trained by Jimmy Brackett. Let's see what the crowd at Oaklawn thinks of Ride the Rails and the rest of the field as we take a look at the odds for the Arkansas Derby presented by Auto Tote. There you see Ride the Rails is at 2 second choice right now. Silver Goblin at 3-1, getting quite a bit of support. Then Bloomin' Affair, there is the 2-1 favorite right now, and big price there on My Magical Star. Well, Chelsea Candy's joined me here now. Chelsea, strategy for this mile and an eighth with $300,000 at stake.
Well, the strategy has pretty well been dictated the whole meet here. This racetrack has been hard and it's been fast, and speed has been doing pretty well here. So Kenny Smith has declared that Silver Goblin will go to the lead. There is no other speed to go with him. So Ride the Rails will have to stay in a position where he can stalk him pretty much and try to catch him through the stretch. And I think it's going to put Blooming Affair at a little bit of a disadvantage. And Fly Cry and Judge TC, they'll all have to stay right in range. And the winner comes out of that group, I do believe. But I like Ride the Rails because I think he's had pretty good experience at chasing another gray horse with a little speed himself called Holy Bull.
All right, well, Dave Johnson's up on the roof, but I'm sure he has an opinion, too, as they head to the post.
I think that Ride the Rails is strictly the horse to beat, but as you know, I can't take the favorite, so I've got to look beyond that, and I think we've got a dandy Bud long shot today. Fly Cry has just been very consistent, and in those 3 victories down at the fairgrounds in New Orleans, he showed style and kick, and that's what it takes to win a Derby. I think that the Fly Cry is certainly at 7-1, my pick in here, but Ride the Rails is the danger.
Again, we'll watch for the gray Silver Goblin to be on the lead. He'll break from the middle here. The 5 horses, you see them coming towards the track. Dale Cordova, his young rider, we talked to him earlier today about the strategy, which sounds like just go to the front with Silver Goblin.
Well, it looks like it's a pretty nice race, so we do have pretty much all the speed in there, and I think he'll run good off his race at Remington. I think he'll be a little stronger and show a little more speed, and hopefully he'll finish better.
I think you might look for a little finishing kick from like a horse like Bayou Bartholomew. He's a horse who hasn't lived up to his best talent. He's wearing blinkers today for the first time. He's by Demons Begone, who won the Arkansas Derby, and he's a half-brother to Prairie Bayou, which we pointed out already. All of these horses look pretty sensational in the paddock. Trying to pick one out on looks alone was very difficult to do.
Well, you saw the stakes and track record. We're almost set to run the Arkansas Derby for the 58th time. And Dave Johnson, who might go on to the Kentucky Derby, will probably know in a little over a minute 46.
And there is Silver Goblin. First time Lasix for the gray colt as he moves into post number 5. These are all nominated to the Triple Crown except Bayou Bartholomew and My Magical Star. This is at 1 1/8, an eighth of a mile shorter than the Kentucky Derby. All colts, all 3-year-olds. And there's number 7, Bloomin' Affair. Eddie Delahousie, who's won the Arkansas Derby twice, once with Sonny Halo, who went on to win the Kentucky Derby. Thank you. Here is the late speed specialist, Judge TC, and finally, the lightly raced My Magical Star, making only his 3rd start and the least amount of money in the bank. And as he moves into line, he doesn't want to go, but he's going to move in there. What a beautiful day here at Oaklawn Racetrack. They're off in the Arkansas Derby. A beautiful start toward the inside. Fly Cry comes away quickly. There goes Silver Goblin into the middle of the racetrack and up to take command from the far outside. My Magical Star reversing tactics today, now into second position. Then comes Ride the Rails with the red cap tucked in third by a head. Judge TC is fourth on the outside. Fly Cry shuffled back into fifth position at the rail. Then it's Bayou Bartholomew, sixth on the outside, a gap of a length and a half, and Finder's Wish in the green cap is next, followed by Bloomin' Affair on the outside, and far, far back, Concern is about 12 lengths behind the second last horse. They move down the backstretch. Silver Goblin leads at 3/4 of a length. On the outside, Ride the Rails, right there within striking distance, second, 3/4 of a length. Away from the rail, Judge TC is racing third. Fly Cry, the Bud Long shot fourth, just 2.5 off the leader. Here comes Finder's Wish, finding room along the inside and moving up in John Frank's colors, just 2.5 off the leader now. From between horses, Bayou Bartholomew is next. As My Magical Star drops back, Bloomin' Affair is not firing. He's second last, and far back, Concern still the distant trailer. As they race to the top of the stretch, it's Silver Goblin in front, showing the way by 2. Ride the Rails with the red blinkers on the outside. Fly Cry at the rail is coming on quickly into third position, and now up into the second spot as they straighten away in the lane. It's Silver Goblin in front, holding on to that lead by 2. The Bud Long shot, Fly Cry on the inside, Ride the Rails, middle of the racetrack. Here comes Concern from the back of the pack. What a late run through the stretch and to the wire. Concern gobbling up ground on the outside. Bloomin' Affair between horses. Concern from last to first to win it by a long neck. Bloomin' Affair came from second last to finish second, and on the inside, the early pace setter, Silver Goblin, held on with Dale Cordova to finish third. What a finish at 20-1. Concern spotted this field a dozen lengths down the backstretch, but it only counts at the finish, Chris, and he got there in 1:48.
Well, that he did, Dave, and what a finish. We were watching Silver Goblin, the Oklahoma bred. Looked like he was going to steal this as the only speed in the race. And then Chelsea, all of a sudden, from the back of the pack, we look for the colors of Robert Meyerhoff, and here comes Concern, the one horse on the outside, and what a charge down the stretch.
Well, he is a classic come-from-behind horse. He was so far back early on. Chris said to me, is he all right? I said, no, that's the way he runs, and look at him. Here he comes on the extreme left of your screen. Silver Goblin has the lead. Silver Goblin ran the first quarter faster than they did last year in Rockamundo's Derby, but that suited Concern just fine because now they're backing up, and Concern is coming through the stretch here. Bloomin' Affair just to the inside of him, but it is Concern, sired by Broadbrush. Dickie Small, his trainer, trained Broadbrush, and he was third in the Kentucky Derby. Family affair.
I wonder if Concern now is headed to Louisville. We'll find out in just a few moments. Again, this horse been on the board in all 4 local starts, and this was his biggest. We'll be right back with more of the Arkansas Derby.
It comes with a 56.
On Park, where today's feature race, the Arkansas Derby, the 58th running, has been presented on ESPN by Hollywood Park, where great times are a sure bet. And a reminder, the season at Hollywood and Inglewood opens this next Wednesday. Unofficial, let's take a look at the results. Again, still not official here. The time 1:48 for the mile and an eighth, which was the same time as Rockamundo last year. Concern wins it, coming from last to first. Bloomin' Affair, Jack Van Berg's is second, and Silver Goblin, a courageous effort, goes to third. That's unofficial. Dave Johnson, let's take another look here.
Do the words Silky Sullivan come to mind? That was the kind of style Silky had, and boy, Concern was so far back. Silver Goblin opens daylight here, the gray colt with Dale Cordova wearing the yellow and black colors, and just at this point, way on the outside with a yellow cap and checkered colors, not in your screen yet. He was there for a second. And during our thrifty car rental replay, you will see Concern gobble them all up as Silver Goblin on the inside drops back. And Bloomin' Affair, who was second last between horses here, looks like he has a shot. And these first two finishers both carried 118 pounds, but it was Concern on the outside with Garrett Gomez, who was simply sudden through the stretch with this eye-appealing victory, which is now official, Chris.
Good shot there of an outstanding young rider. Garrett Gomez, he really chased after Pat Day a couple years ago here in the standings, just losing by 2 to the king of riding here. And Garrett second in the standings again to Pat Day this year, but he is number 1 today. Garrett Gomez with the biggest win of his young career, the $500,000 Arkansas Derby in the colors of Robert Meyerhoff of Maryland.
In the year 23, afternoon at Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas, where the Arkansas Derby is now official, and getting most of that $500,000 purse is Concern. And look at the prices: $43.40, $14, and $6.20 to show. Bloomin' Affair was up to be second at $4.40 and $3.40, beaten only a head or so. And Silver Goblin, who set the torrid early fractions, finished third at $3.40. A 1-7 exacta paid $180.80. From top to bottom, it was Concern from last to first, Bloomin' Affair second, Silver Goblin third, Ride the Rails finished fourth, our Bud Longshot, Fly Cry, finished fifth. After that, it was Judge TC, Finder's Wish, My Magical Star, and Bayou Bartholomew was ninth and last. Charlesy?
Well, here is Concern's team, and I'll tell you, Garrett Gomez already knew he liked it here at Oaklawn Park because he's second leading rider and does a good job here. Dickie Small spent in his first winter here at Oaklawn Park and told me he thought he wanted to buy a house, and Dickie, now you can afford it.
Yeah, the horse ran great. Yeah, I really like it here, and we had a lot of fun this winter.
This colt got in trouble in the Rebel and was only beaten a length by Judge TC, and he's never been off the board here at Oaklawn. You had to know he was going to run a big one, Dickie.
Well, most of the races here have been a mile and 16th, and a little extra distance helps him. In the Rebel, his race was real strong. Just got a little timid right at the end, but he ran a real strong race.
And Garrett Gomez, this was the first time you had ridden him. It's his 4th rider in as many starts. Did you have any trouble with a horse coming from that far back in a big field?
Not really. I watched his previous races, and I watched him run here at Oaklawn. And, you know, my main concern was just to see how close he was going to be to him.
All right, we're going to watch it here now. You were so far back early on. Were you worried? Did you lose sight of him?
No, actually, I was closer than I figured on being. The colt, you know, he warmed up real well, and he
here he comes on the extreme left of the screen in the yellow silks. We don't quite see you yet. You're just coming.
The colt's really running good. He's leveling out, and he's reaching and getting ground. And the more ground we got, just the better he's going. The colt run an exceptional race, and I'd like to thank Mr. Small for the shot on him.
And he gets to the wire just in time. It looks like a 1.25 mile horse to me. Congratulations to you all. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Chelsea. Robert Meyerhoff, the owner and breeder, could not be here today. He was just honored recently, though, as Maryland's Breeder of the Year. Congratulations, Mr. Meyerhoff. Got a fine colt. What a day here at Oaklawn for the Arkansas Derby as Concern wins the Maryland horse, takes the Arkansas Derby. Let's look ahead now. 2 weeks from today, the 120th Kentucky Derby from Caesar's Future Book. Here are the 5 favorites, one from Caesar's Las Vegas, the other from Tahoe. You see Holy Bull and Bracco. East and West remain the top 2 choices. And let's give you a little bit of a preview now. As we take a look back at just last week. You saw this racer on ESPN, the Bluegrass from Keeneland. And there is Holy Bull. He's easy to pick out. He always seems to be on the lead. Jimmy Kroll, owned and trained, ridden by Mike Smith. There's your favorite for the 120th Kentucky Derby. But from the West, this will be one of his sternest tests. Here comes Bracco, owned by Albert Broccoli. And he wins the Santa Ana Derby. He's on as the second choice for the Kentucky Derby. Dave Johnson, it shapes up to be a great run for the Roses.
Get ready for the best Triple Crown in the last 10 or 15 years. They're all coming, and they're all interesting. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Holy Bull won the Triple Crown, or if he got hooked and spit it out and was off the board in the Kentucky Derby. I got to look beyond the favorite, though, so I'm looking at those Strode's Creeks and Powis Castle type horses. What are you looking for, Charlesy?
Well, you know, Dave, I'm never looking for the windows. What I'm looking for is to be at Churchill Downs and to see all of these horses there in one stable area and get to go out every morning and just watch them. It's one of the most exciting derbies in a long time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them all in person for 4 or 5 days. Chris?
Thank you, Chelsea. You know, one thing I think I'll be missing from this Triple Crown, though, and I'm going to miss her very much, is Virginia Kelly, President Bill Clinton's mother. A great fan of racing. We lost her this past January. I know she would have loved this year's Triple Crown. She would have loved today's Arkansas Derby Day. Let's look ahead with you now at what's coming up for us in less than 2 weeks, we'll be at Churchill Downs, the Kentucky Oaks on Friday, the major filly race. Also, the Early Times Turf Classic, that's live, 5 o'clock on Friday, May 6th. Then, of course, our special preview of the Kentucky Derby. The 2-hour preview starts at 2:30 on Derby Day of the 120th Kentucky Derby. We hope you enjoyed today's coverage of the Derby in Arkansas. Brought to you by 50 Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By Keeneland, source of the classic horse. Budweiser Beechwood Age for a crisp, clear, classic.